Yeah, we told them already, but we have to tell them again and again and again. Them are murderers. They are killing our people. We are here today to mourn and to demand justice in the brutal killing of a very young 16-year-old minor refugee from Senegal, who was killed in the hail of machine gun fire in Dortmund. We also have to see that in the latest days, in the latest period, within 7 days, German police was killing 4 people in a row. It started off the 2nd of August in Frankfurt, Main. A black man was confronted by the police with a dog, with a police dog. So he defended himself against the police dog with a knife, hurting the dog. As a result, he got a shot in his head and was immediately dead. The police and the media behaved like, yeah, he was seriously wounded, but later died in the hospital, which is a blunt lie. The German police went on 3rd of August, this time in Cologne. This time, a Russian national who was quite known city street musician. He was to be evicted from his flat, although it was documented that he has been saying that he's going to kill himself in case of an eviction. So if we take the German law, the German state of law, then we should know if there's a suicidal crisis because of a serious event like an eviction, then this eviction has to be stopped. But still the police went in and on to evict this man out of his flat. He was resisting. 2 civil police officers were there. Both were shooting on him. He died soon later in the hospital. 7th of August, the area of Recklinghausen. Now a man in an obvious mental crisis, in rage, was confronted by the police. And as so often, these police officers try to calm down a situation by using tear gas. I come again. These people try to calm down a human being by using a chemical weapon into his face. What sort of logic is behind such a way of procedure? It's not about calming down any situation. Nobody, no human being will be calmed down by tear gas in his face. He will be hurt. He will be wounded. But if he is on adrenaline, he will go into panic now. if he is in a mental crisis anyway, he will go into panic now. And this is exactly what happened. So what the police does next, after using tear gas on an excited person, to put the person down to the ground, most probably on his belly, and to place themselves on the back of the belly, so-called belly-prone position, which is highly dangerous in such circumstances to cause so-called positional asphyxia. The man lost consciousness under the treatment, later died in the hospital. The first thing the police and the media are reporting, there were hints that he was under the influence of drugs. So I am asking myself, what is this sort of victim blaming good for? What is the hint? Which was the drug? How does one who is in a mental crisis look on drugs? What is the difference? Again, you see the escalative policies of the police, not trying to calm down the situation, not trying to understand, to serve and protect, but to repress, to violate, and to kill. So now, we are 8th of August, the 4th victim within 1 week. We now talk of our brother Mohamed Lamine Dramé, 16-year-old from Senegal, minor, without parents. He was alone. He just arrived actually. He was not long in Germany. He had trauma. He had problems. He had suicidal thoughts. He went for help into a psychiatry hospital. The psychiatry hospital did not treat him. They sent him out of the hospital. So he ended up in a stationary living group of the church in Dortmund, Nordstadt. Mohammed was not speaking German. Mohammed was speaking Wolof and French. So our first question is, when the police arrived at the scene and saw Mohammed there with a knife, trying to hurt himself, and they are claiming they were trying to calm him down, my question would be, how? What language did these police officers in Dortmund use? Did they speak Wolof? Are they able to speak French? Or tried they English? Because all these black people have to understand English. Or did they just shout in German, as we are in Germany, and they are the German police, and everybody has to understand and do what the German police is saying? No, it's not like that. You police officers are our servants. We are not your people. You are supposed to protect us. You are not supposed to kill us. And if you don't know how to deal professionally adequately, non-violently, with vulnerable people in a mental, suicidal crisis, then don't go ahead. Wait for those who know how to deal with. It's not you. You haven't been studying medicine. You don't have any expertise in psychology or psychiatry. And you should know that if you fight or put tear gas or taser on a psychotic person in a mental crisis, it will not, I repeat, not help, and it will also not yield the result you expect, that the people calm down, that the people let go. For a psychotic person, all this fighting against them makes them even more panic. They try to get out of the situation, and the most direct way will be through you. So don't aggress a psychotic person to have then the argument that you had to shoot as a last resort. No. You didn't have to aggress the people, the person in the first place. You stay calm, you try to talk, you wait for people to come who know what you do, what they do. You don't. You are there to assist. It's a repeating story that using tear gas on psychotic people and then killing them. Back in 2014, there was a reportage of the RBB about Berlin police. They were finding that 2/3, I repeat, 2/3 of people shot and killed by the police were in a mental or suicidal or drug-related crisis. Most of them did not harm anybody till the arrival of the police. This reportage also shows that police officers are not prepared, not educated, not trained to handle serious situations like that. And yet, there is no accountability, there is no culture of error, there is no willingness to change. You just keep on killing people. And the more vulnerable they are, the better you might feel to kill them. There's no reason why people in psychological or suicidal crisis should outnumber victims, including those who are criminals, murderers, rapists, bank robbers. For these people, when you put tear gas on them, when you put taser on them, they will do what you tell them to do. But they are not psychotic. And to also make a point, most people in a vulnerable situation or psychotic state are not violent towards other people in the first place. If we do have psychopaths that are planning terrorist action, then we have a different situation. If you have to protect life and the last resort is to shoot at the person, then do so. But if any given person did not harm anybody, there is no reason for you to start harming them and put them into panic and cause their reaction in the first place. When we look in the German media, the first thing we see is a debate on whether the police is allowed to shoot on a man with a knife, and how dangerous a knife is compared to a shooting weapon. Funnily enough, most police officers that are killed are not killed by knives. They are shot. So the question is why this knife story is such a big issue. There is no factual reason behind it other than that the police is in the first place trained to kill people in a crisis with a knife, regardless whether they have harmed anybody or not. And they are trained not to shoot in the leg, not to shoot in the shoulder. They are trained to aim at the so-called vital triangle, where the heart and the lungs and big vessels are situated, to finally stop the person, which sounds cynic, for it means actually to make sure to kill the person. So we're here to also support the community and the family, Drame, the community in Dortmund. The family Drame has to be found to tell the family what happened to the son, the brother. And beyond that, we want to encourage every civil society initiative, organization, association, whatsoever, to actively investigate into the case, and for the broader society to read the newspaper reports thoroughly and leave the narrative, the pro-police narrative out. Concentrate on the facts. And the facts say, in this case, he was not harming anybody. He was attacked with tear gas. He was attacked with a taser, and then started to run towards the police in an order to defend himself irrationally in a psychotic situation. If you or me or any person is going to another person using electroshocker on the person and make the person attack me and then kill the person, the juridical assessment will be different, surely. But as it is the institution of the police, we already know by now what the outcome will be. Again, killing police officers will not be charged, will not be sentenced for reasons of state. Again, the family will not be compensated, and again, there will be no reconciliation with the communities concerned. You police officers, you can't even imagine what it does to a black person here in Germany to get to know all these cases. Christy Schwundeck shot in her flat, or in the flat of her husband, trying to get her child. It was 2001. Dominic Kumadiu, also Dortmund, shot at a distance of 5 meters by the police. Christy Schwundeck in Frankfurt, 2011, killed in the job center, asking for money to survive, which she had a right to. She was about to be sent off. She was sitting there. She was shot while sitting. Still, the prosecution says it's self-defense. We talk of Uri Jallo, who was shackled, tortured, and burned in a police cell in Dessau. The initiative in remembrance of Uri Jallo has cleared up the case in a civil effort. All these have been murders. All of these have been murders. So this is what we know from the past, and many more are there. We talk of Aman Alizada in Stade. The day is coming up next week. He was shot 5 shots in a psychological crisis. Tear gas was used before shooting him. We talk of another case in the region of Stade, Kamari Prime. He was shot 13 times. He was telling the police he would even join them to the custody to get out of this ladder. The police did not want to take him. Then they shot him, for he had a knife in his hand. 13 times. We talk of Omar Khan here in Hamburg. Yes, you colleagues, you are also part of the problem, part of the system, Police Hamburg. The man was in a mental state crisis. Tear gas was used, taser was used, and then it came to the escalation that has started by you. And he was shot. 7 shots. And we could go on and on and on and on, naming the cases, all of them in guaranteed impunity. None of the police killers ever has been legally charged or charged within the Police Disciplinary Commission itself. This has to stop once and for all. Black life matters. Black mental health matters. Mental health matters. And incompetence is no excuse.